Hello everyone, this is SK again, and I am back with me analyzing one of the stocks that was highly voted in our recent poll in our Telegram channel. Now, we had a few stocks listed, and AMD was the one voted as the highest ones. And here am I analyzing the stock. Apologize for the delay before the video. I was a bit unwell, and finally, we are here to analyze it. So AMD, I can understand fully on why this has been voted as the one that you all are very keen to know more. And let's take a look about it. So one of the things that we usually want to look at, all right, when we want to analyze a stock is what I do usually is I would like to know what is the trend of the stock in a very easy way. And one of the things that I do is I will just go and try to plot as my time frame as big as I can. Like in this case, I'm going all the way back to 2005, and I just wanted to see the trend. So initially it was going downwards, then sideways, then broke up. So this is a very typical stock of a Dow theory based stock, which is we can discuss another day. Now, when we look at this AMD, we can see it's definitely on an uptrend because it's simple. Because we have like higher high and we have higher lows. So you can see all that here. Okay, so that's definitely the trend. Now, there are two ways that we can actually analyze this stock, but let me share with you the best way of doing it for this particular stock at the moment. So in this case of AMD, when it's going upwards in a trend, like this is an uptrend, so the two approaches are is either you can use the traditional support and resistance, which is so you can actually draw the support, just say here, this is support where it rebound, and this is where it retraced. The last retracement took place at this price point, and last rebound took place at this price point. So here is the resistance, if I were to change the color to make it easy, and this is the one. Sorry, not white, but red. So that is basically how you can look at it. And usually people, how they trade is they wait till the price has gone down to the support before buying again. But this is where sometimes experience helps. Why? Because when we look at this chart, one thing is pretty obvious, is the trend. And if we were to look at the trend, this is what you can actually come out with. So you can easily draw an uptrend channel. So channels is actually very strong, and usually stocks keep to the channel for quite an extended period of time because it's very hard for stock to break a trend unless something really bad has happened, something fundamentally has changed. So here, if I were to draw this, so this is technically converts to this. So let me highlight that. Let me readjust this. So here you have two parallel lines because it is mainly a uptrend stock. Now what we have here is you have up here one. So let's just circle that for ease of reference. And I'm going to change that to a different color. I don't like gray or black over there. Let's highlight to something more brighter. So you have over here. And then, so that's where its resistance is. And then it came down. And then it went up. So it hit a resistance and came down and starts rebounding again. So basically what this shows us is, if I go to hold down, that's what happens. Okay, so over here what we can see is there's definitely a room for it to go higher. Okay, so if you look at this, there's definitely room for it to go higher. So that basically translate into a price target about 300 or 320 sort of here. Okay, 300 to 320. Now, when I say that there is still room for it to go higher and we are looking at 300 to 320, You might be feeling that, hey, that means I can go in into AMD, and it's a very good point right now to go and buy or go long on AMD. But that's where you got to identify what kind of investor you are. So let's go in slightly into the weekly because this is monthly chart. And if we were to go into weekly, let's just change the time frame to say 5 years. So that brings us to this whole channel. Maybe 5 years, let's extend it a bit so that we can get, yeah. So this is a clearer view. So we have it over here and now. So this is definitely a gap up. That is good. Now going back to the question, is it worth for us to buy over here at the moment? Because there still looks like there's still space for us for the stock to continue climbing up to 320 probably, looking at the channel over here. So the question that you got to ask yourself is what kind of a trader you are. Are you a person who's risk averse, or you're a risk taker, or you want to be someone who is on the safer side? So if you are a risk taker, yes, you can actually go and buy, thinking that it can hit 320. But this is how you judge your risk. Because over here right now, this is the resistance at 320, right? So there's space for it to go from 260, where it roughly is right now, up to 320. So that's a few percentage gains over there. But at the same time, where is the support? So let's say the price retraces. What kind of support that we are talking about? So the first support comes somewhere around here because that's where the gap is, right? So whenever there's gap up, that works as a support in this case. So let's just change that color to something more blue because I like support to be blue. Don't ask me why. All right. So this is the support. So that is about 200, around 200, 270. So basically you're saying that if you buy right now and if you are wrong, it could go down by almost $100. So that is the kind of risk that we are talking about today. And just to share further, if this doesn't hold, then the next support is roughly around here. So that comes down to around 130. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, if I were to buy right now, my risk, my possibility of having a profit is 260 to 220. So that's about $60. But if it turns around, my risk looks like, because the next support, the immediate support is roughly around 180 to 190. So that's roughly about $70 to $80 to drop. So definitely risk is higher. And if this fails to hold, the next risk is next support, it goes all the way down to 120. So that's a drop of another 100 over dollars. Okay, $140 kind of stuff. So if you are not comfortable with that risk, then this is not a trade that you wanna take. But if you feel that you are okay, you are a risk taker, then probably you want to look into AMD. But if you at all choose to go long over here at this point of time, one strong advice that I have for you is to make sure you have a very tight cut loss price target. So if you make sure you have a good cut loss price and you're disciplined and you're going to stick with it, then you might be able to play around with this by going long on AMD. But if not, it's a stock that you may want to avoid, or at least wait till it retraces to the support before trying establishing a position. All right, so that's basically how you look at a stock. Keep it very simple. It's just a matter of price action. It's just a matter of how the channel movement is, and you will be able to decide. Remember, it's not much about the price itself, but also it's important for you to identify what kind of a trader or investor you are. All right, so that's basically about AMD. Thank you very much, and I will see you all in the next video.